Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you saw my last video, this is kind of a continuation of that one where I'm working again with DRSONO, and I'm going to show you a more in-depth tutorial of how to use their TriScan Max probe. This one comes with a curved side and a linear side. So if you saw my first video with them, you know that I have a special volunteer, my husband, who's going to be volunteering his body for us so we can demonstrate on him. To highlight this awesome probe, today I'm going to be walking you through a few basic protocols including thyroid, carotid, abdomen, and then of course some echocardiography. Welcome to the demo portion of this video. Today I'm going to be starting with the thyroid. These are going to be very basic protocols, so don't expect what you would be doing at your hospital. This is just to show you how the app functions. And of course I'm using the wireless USG app like I showed you in my last video, and I set it up the same way I demonstrated there. So let's get into this thyroid protocol. I have my phone propped up on the stand that they gave me so I can easily see what I'm doing and have my designated work area while I'm using this hand to scan. Okay, so here we have my husband's beautiful thyroid. This is just the view of both of his lobes in transverse. I'm going to put some color on there just to check everything out. I am just using my touchscreen to move my box manually. You can see his carotid and jugular right there in the corner as our landmarks. Then I'm just going to sweep over, and then here we have his left lobe. Okay, we're going to go back to B mode. Now we're just going to look at his right lobe in trans. Let me play with my depth a little bit more. This is a better depth for this view right here. I'm starting off superiorly here. Freeze. Okay, so I hit freeze and then save, and we saved our first image. I'm going to unfreeze. I'm still there, and I'm just going to move a little more inferiorly and finish out our protocol by starting up at the highest and then going lower until I get to mid and then to inferior. So here, freeze. Here, freeze. As I said, I'm moving more and more inferiorly, so now I'm going to go to about the mid. We're going to freeze right there, and here we can measure. So let's hit our measure button, and I'm going to go over the length, and I'm just going to use my fingers on my touchscreen to place my calipers. And we've got our measurement. Now that we're on mid, let's throw some color on there to check out, make sure everything looks normal. I'm going to hit freeze, and we can acquire this picture as well. Turn off our color, go back to B mode, and continue our protocol moving inferiorly. So here, freeze, lower, freeze, until the very most inferior portion, freeze. Now we're going to turn sag on the same lobe, play with our depth. Make sure everything can fit on the screen as best possible. Okay, so here we have his thyroid in sagittal, so I'm going to start off lateral, and for that landmark we're going to look for his carotid, and here it is. We're going to sweep more medially till we start to see some of that thyroid tissue. Freeze, and that would be our first image. We just keep on moving medially, and of course stopping at mid to get our measurement, putting on some color to make sure everything looks good, and if we happen to see any nodules or cysts, mention it, note it. Freeze, moving more medially all the way through. This is just what a sweep of it would look like till we get to the very medial portion. Freeze it right there. Okay, so that was just like half of the thyroid protocol. That's, you would do the exact same thing on the other side and then also look at the isthmus, but it's pretty tedious. So that's the idea of what you can do with this probe and with this app. Now that we're sort of in this area, I'm gonna just go for carotid and show you what that would look like. Let's change our preset from thyroid to carotid. That's his jugular vein. This looks beautiful. Wow. And we can tell that that's his vein because it's collapsing. When we put any pressure on it, veins collapse. I'm gonna pan, sweep over more medially, and we can see his carotid, his beautiful carotid. Okay, so remember we can always play with our focus here. I think this is a pretty good level for it. Play with our depth. We don't need all of that extra depth. We're just looking at this very superficial vessel. All right, so let's put some color on this. Let's put our gain down a little bit. Clean it up. Move as proximal as we can for our first image. So I'm going more inferiorly on his neck. Move my box. I'm going to play with my scale a little bit just to optimize the image. So now let's try some pulse wave. We're going to move our sample gate onto his carotid. And there we're picking up the waveform. Let's move our baseline down so we can see everything. And let's change the angle, because remember, we want everything to be as parallel as possible to that flow we're trying to pick up, right? So we can get an accurate waveform. Okay, and let's freeze it there. You want to see?
That's crazy. That's insane.
Isn't
From
that cool?
this?
Yeah. Let me show you.
Wow.
And then here we can measure.
Oh,
that's super cool.
precise.
You can get super precise right here with your caliper placement. I can just drag it.
They thought of the natural human errors that occur with a touchscreen.
Yeah.
That's smart. And then does it give you a resistive index?
Yeah,
what
0.87.
That's crazy. That's
How cool
crazy.
Is that?
That's crazy to me.
So you can
These big chunky machines we push around everywhere.
You can literally
this exists.
put your caliper for your SD ratio, and your resistive index comes up on the screen right there. We got 0.87.
To people that don't know a ton about ultrasound, that's fine. It may seem like you're just putting a thing on the screen. No, there's so much physics at work and complicated measurements and science behind it.
Yeah, especially for it to be accurate. Like,
yeah, so
and this is
that's crazy. And that carotid looks beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah, let me show you your jugular too. So I'm going to clear all this. I'm going to go back to B mode. Freeze. Look at that.
Dude.
I mean, these images are like...
That looks honestly indistinguishable from...
Yeah.
You know, $100,000 machine that we scan on at school with a $50,000 probe connected to it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's keep going. We just got super excited because we're nerds for this, but let's keep on going with the protocol a little bit. Okay. So that was proximal, and I'm just gonna sweep through and show you all of the different levels, since I've already played with sort of all the buttons and everything, and how you'd measure. Jugular is so pretty. Proximal, and then we would do the same thing mid, and then we'll do the same thing going more distal. Is your bulb really high?
Yeah, because my neck is long.
Wow, like I'm looking for his bulb, and I'm like, okay, keep going, keep going. There's his bulb right there, and you can see his artery. You can distinguish it because you can see the artery pulsing with the flow from the heart, and the vein is more still. So where it gets a little bit wider on the carotid, that's when you know you've hit the bulb, and then you'll see the bifurcation shortly after. So right around here is where his bulb would be. Okay, his beautiful bifurcation. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Learning this always confused me when it came to the ECA and the ICA, and sometimes it still does, especially if there's tortuous vessels. Then it's kind of like you have to look at the resistance. ECA is going to be high resistance, ICA is going to be low resistance. ECA feeds the face, ICA feeds the brain. So here I'm going to, from his bifurcation, which we can see here, I'm going to move the probe more medially toward the face, and that's how we're going to look for his ECA, which is right here. And we're going to move back toward the bifurcation, and his ICA is right here. All right, let's play with some color. Ooh, that's M mode. There is the bifurcation. Some color on it. How pretty is that? Then we're just going to look at it in trans. So starting again, proximal. And you remember this from the thyroid. So here, if you ever get confused, press lightly, very lightly. And that'll confirm which one is your artery and which one is your vein. So here we have our carotid. This is prox. Mid. Go up his really, really high neck to his bulb where it starts to get wide. You see that? So here is the bulb. Distal, it's a little bit more small, the vessel. Bulb is when it starts to widen, and then we're going to watch it bifurcate as we go. Do you see that? Did you see this vessel come off? And that's how we know we're at our bifurcation. Right there. Kind of looks like the Mickey Mouse sign, right? So bulb, distal, mid, proximal. Mid, distal, bulb. We're going to watch it bifurcate. And then we have our ECA and ICA on top. Beautiful sweep. This is just so impressive to me.
Same. I'm actually blown away by that. It does M mode too?
It has M mode, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Okay, so let's play a little bit more with our curve side since I've shown you the linear. So I'm going to switch over, which I'll do by holding this button down, and we'll see the light right now is on the linear side. It's going to change to the curve side. So hold it down. Now we're on our curve side.
This is crazy.
And then when I unfreeze on the screen, we're on our curve side.
What? No, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Live reaction.
That's crazy.
And we're gonna change our preset to be abdomen. So I'm aiming toward his right side. And we can see his IVC right here, beautifully actually. And now I'm going to aim toward his left, and the aorta is going to come in. That's beautiful.
I can't believe how good it looks.
I know, pretty aorta. Let's just pulse wave that. And that's his aortic flow. That's super dope.
Can you change the scale?
I can. Look, freeze. PRF. We're gonna go back to B mode. Let me turn my gain down a little bit. It does not need to be this bright. There's no reason for that. So I'm gonna play with our gain. If you just hold down, you don't even have to keep pressing the button. If you just hold down the button, it will just gradually decrease, which I love that feature. Right, so here we got the left lobe of his liver with this caudate lobe. Gonna go all the way out, sweep in toward the right lobe. You can see his portal vein coming in there. Let's look for pancreas. He has eaten and everything, so let's see if it's gassy in there or if you can see everything. Oh, that's a pretty pancreas. That's pretty. Look at that.
Wow.
You can see the tail, which can be difficult.
Dang, that's a pretty pancreas. You can see the entire
You can
thing.
see the entire thing.
That's not common.
And then here, I just paused it, but I'm gonna hit play and it's actually gonna cine back and give us a clip.
Ooh,
And you can save a clip as well. How cool is that? Okay, let's add some color. Can you hold your breath for me? CBD is such hard work. CBD.
That's a good CBD.
Got it. Took me a second.
Got him.
But I got it.
Got him.
You can tell it's the CBD. It is the thing like right underneath the gallbladder. It's super, super tiny and it's dark. That dark area, you see the red color. Then you see the little dark area. It's that little dark area because it's bile. It's not blood. So that's what still fluid looks like in the body. And that is what you would measure for your CBD. Can be hard to find. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show you for the convex side of this probe that's actually really awesome is it turns into a phased array probe. So you can actually do echoes with this side of the probe. And I'll show you in real time how it looks on the screen when I change it from the abdomen preset to the cardiac preset. So if we go back to our app and we go on the preset section, I'm gonna go from abdomen to cardiac, and you're gonna watch the top portion of the screen change from this curve to a phased array. You see that? How it went from like the pie slice to this like triangular shape. So now we can scan echo with this. So the other thing that is really important to do when you're going to be scanning with the phased array is to switch your indicator. So you see the green dot is on the left side of the screen right now. We're going to go to the biopsy button, and then we're going to click this first R and R button here on the left hand side, and our indicator is now switched so that we can scan echo. Okay, so here we have his parasternal long axis view. We can see his mitral at the bottom of the screen, and then his aorta in the sort of middle, more on top, and then the right ventricle at the very, very top. This is sort of where you would start your echo protocol. So we're gonna freeze it here. I'm gonna hit the play button because with echo, we do all clips, right? So let's watch that back. Beautimus. Okay, so here where we've frozen, we're in systole, so I'm just gonna measure the LA diameter. So let's go to length and then place our calipers where we want them. And there we go. We have our LA diameter measurement. So now let's unfreeze. Okay, so here we can see beautifully, I'm gonna angle down to look at his RVIT. And there we have his RVIT, which is the inflow into from the right atrium to the right ventricle. Okay, so here I'm playing with my dynamic range. That's obviously more grays, so things are just looking too similar, and then this is like the least amount of grays. So I feel like this is gonna help us see a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm going to go to short axis. Okay, so here is his short axis. We can see his aorta in the middle and all 3 leaflets, which is good. And then on the screen, the left-hand side, we're seeing the tricuspid valve. And then more anteriorly into the right-hand side, that is gonna be our RVOT, our pulmonic valve. And then on the very bottom under the aorta, that's our left atrium. So here we can see all of that in this one view. Let's not forget to play with our focus and then our depth a little bit. So there we go. If we zoom in, here we can see our aorta a little bit more clearly, so we can see those 3 leaflets. There we go. So from here, I'm gonna move my probe more inferiorly toward his left ventricle. Here we're at the level of the mitral valve, so we got those like little fish lips in the middle, and then we have the anterior and the posterior leaflets. And then from this view, we're gonna just angle a little bit more inferiorly. So we get to the paps. Let's change our dynamic range again. Here we're at the level of the paps, and then we're gonna go a little bit lower just to get to his apex. We wanna go as low as we can just to make sure that there's no clot or anything hiding in there. And then we can play with our depth here too. There. Now we can see all the walls moving. Everything looks like it's contracting normally. We don't see any clots. That's what we're looking for. So now let's move on to the apicals. Okay, so here we have his 4-chamber view. We can see both atrias and both ventricles really well. On the right side of the screen, that's his left atria and left ventricle. And on the left side of the screen, that's his right atria and right ventricle. So we're gonna angle up just a little bit to open his aorta in the middle there. Do you see that opening up, that aortic valve? I'll close it to show you again. Here, this is our 4 chamber. When I angle up, it's gonna be the 5 chamber. So we'll see right in the center his aorta open up, and there it is. Go back to our 4, angled inferiorly. So now from our 4, I'm going to angle my probe, twisting the indicator anti-clockwise, and we're gonna get our 2 chamber. So we're gonna close that right side of the heart. So we just have the left. All right, so here's his 2 chamber, and then I'm gonna keep moving to get his 3 chamber in the same anti-clockwise direction. And there's his 3 chamber. You can see this looks similar to our parasternal long. So they kind of call this apical long sometimes. We have his aorta again, and then the left atria and the left ventricle. So as you can see, using this probe, you can get all of the major windows for the echocardiography views, which is super cool. I was not expecting this convex probe to be able to turn into a phased array, so that's pretty awesome technology. And yeah, we went through the parasternal long and then to short axis at all 3 levels, and then to our apical, we did our apical 4, 2, 3. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the demo and tutorial. Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this probe, and also what your role is in the sonography world. Are you a sonography student? Are you someone who wants to be a sonography student? Are you already a sonographer? Are you a private practice? Are you wanting to start your own side business maybe? Let me know your thoughts, please. I'm super curious, and I will keep all of the DRSONO links in the description below, so definitely make sure to check them out. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.